Hey travelers, Mag and I here on day 178 of our trip around the United States. Today is our final day in Mississippi. This is it. We only have a handful of counties and a handful of pages left, and then we are moving on to Texas. I cannot wait to tackle that state. It has been a long time coming. For today's adventure, we're getting things started off here in Prentiss. From Prentiss, it's a pretty direct westward route right across the state. Now today's miles calls for about 350 miles, but that includes that entire jaunt we took north away from the coast yesterday to get up to where we are now. So realistically, we really have a little less than 300 miles to cover as we make our way through these last few counties and finish up the state. By the end of the day, we'll be finishing in Alexandria, Louisiana. Now, there won't be any geocaching adventures happening in Louisiana because we've already finished the state. But we have to pass through there to get to where we're going in Texas. So we're gonna take a nice, easy pace today, work our way through the targets, of which there's not an overabundance, and make our way to the end of the state. I am so excited to finally be finishing up the state of Mississippi. For me, this is a big deal because that includes now the entire southeast region, which, like Texas, has been a very long day coming. I can't wait to see what today has in store, and I can't wait to show you. So let's go check it out together. Come on, let's go.
We begin our day in Prentiss, the county seat of Jefferson Davis, with a population of right around 1,000 people. As the state's 77th county, Jefferson Davis was carved out of the western Covington County and eastern Lawrence County in 1906 when the residents complained of the rivers and streams impeding their route to their respective county seats. This county was the first in Mississippi to issue a prohibition on alcohol after the repeal of the 18th Amendment. Ensuring no fun would happen within city limits, they also banned round dancing in the community hall in 1938. I can't imagine dancing is considered too much of a problem around these parts anymore. It is a very quiet town, and during the time that we were there, we saw not a single other person.
Now, if y'all are gonna get out there and hit the geocaching trails, you do have to be warned. Geocaching is a gateway game. You have to be careful that it doesn't get you into other traveling games too.
As we made our way west across the state, ever toward Louisiana, we found geocaches in each of the counties we passed through. Though there was certainly no density of geocache targets to speak of, the ones that we chose to pursue were all there and all well maintained. They also came in many shapes and sizes, some being significantly easier than others to locate. We even came across one or two that had very unique camo jobs. We only managed to find this one as easily as we did because the host was stacked up in such an odd way. If not for that obvious indicator to light up my geosenses, I can only imagine I would have done several circles around the woods trying to track this thing down. Continuing our route ever westward to the edge of the state, we passed through Monticello, the county seat of Lawrence County, with a population of around 1,500 people. As was the case, most of the small-town county seats that we passed through today, we immediately made our way to the courthouse in the downtown area. In our normal style, we checked out the local veterans memorials, found a couple of the geocaches around town, and then we headed down the road to find one more at this beautiful cemetery. It was not the geocache hidden here, however, that had me scratching my head in puzzlement.
Leading the list of things that make you go, now why on earth does this cemetery feature an entrance gate if there's not even a fence next to it? Like, what are we achieving here?
After passing through a series of very small county seats all morning long, we were very glad to finally reach Brookhaven, the county seat of Lincoln County, with the population finally in 5 digits at just over 11,000 people. The town was named after Brookhaven, New York by its founder, Samuel Jane, in 1818. The downtown area is built around the railroad, which was the heart and soul of the original development of the town. The railroad came through in 1858, connecting Brookhaven with New Orleans to the south and Memphis to the north. This was a major contributing factor to its growth as opposed to the other small county seats we had passed through to get here today. Using a sense very similar to my geosenses, I was able to track down the Veterans Memorial in town without too much difficulty. After taking in the sights and relishing seeing other people on the streets, the first we've seen all day, it was back on the geocaching trail once again. Thanks to a helpful hint on this listing, I was able to get to the bottom of the find without too much wandering around the area. No geosenses whatsoever were required to find this big boy hiding under a bush, just waiting for us to add our names to the logbook. And while a geocache hidden in the foliage may be quite a tough find in the summer, in the winter it really sticks out. Sometimes the real trick isn't making the find at all, but instead making the retrieval. Normally, this geocache would require water to float the container up to the top to retrieve, but it has been wet out here.
This is what you call pure dumb luck. You have to float this geocache up to get it. But with all the rain we've had, it was already floated and just waiting for me to retrieve it. Score.
Last up on the list of county seats we need to pay a visit to today is Port Gibson, the county seat of Claiborne County with a population of around 1,500 people. This small town is also well known for its part in the civil rights movement with the 1967 boycott of businesses who would not serve black people. The effects of that boycott would continue to echo over the next couple of decades, making it all the way to the Supreme Court. Still well ahead of our planned time for the day, we decide to take on a virtual located along the western edge of the state, not too far from the banks of the Mississippi River. The virtual is named Ghost Town in memory of Rodney, a former city in Jefferson County whose population declined to nearly zero after the Mississippi River had changed its course. It was a long drive down nearly forgotten roads that continued to become more degraded as we approached the former city. As expected, when we got close to the ground zero, it really was a ghost town as far as you could see. From the remains of the former First Presbyterian Church, it's a 700-foot walk back into the woods. We had seen almost no elevation changes whatsoever when visiting the state, so of course we'd have to climb a little bit of a hill to finish things off here at this ghost town. The virtual itself is very vague in what you're actually going to be seeking, but it turns out that it brings you to a very old cemetery at the top of the hill that time has all but forgotten about. It was such an odd thing to drive all the way out here to the middle of nowhere, to climb up a hill in the middle of nowhere, to visit a cemetery that probably hasn't seen anybody but geocachers in years.
This is really quite impressive. In the ghost town of Rodney, this cemetery out here on the hilltop, lost to time, has headstones that are well over 100 years old that are still in absolutely pristine condition. Most of the headstones are legible, just like this one too. It's pretty impressive.
Alright, I think it's time to stop messing around and find just a couple of more geocaches to wrap this thing up. It's a good thing that our geosenses have been on point all day long, because they continuously led us to the hide without any obstruction along the way.
And there it is. This is the official last find that I need to count the state of Mississippi as done. All the pages and all the counties are in the bag. Now, just a couple more finds as we make our way out of the state toward Louisiana.
With all of our county and page targets done for the day and time still left to spare, we dropped into Natchez, county seat of Adams County, with a population of around 15,000 people and the biggest city we would be seeing today. Established by French colonists in 1716, Natchez is one of the oldest and most important European settlements in the lower Mississippi River Valley. Over time, Natchez changed hands from the French to Great Britain to the Spanish and finally to the United States. This beautiful city, sitting atop the bluff overlooking the Mississippi River, had even served as the capital of the state until it was replaced by Jackson in 1822. And that is going to bring a close to the Mississippi portion of our adventure. Right now we find ourselves in Natchez, looking over the Mississippi River across toward Louisiana. We're going to head on to Alexandria from here, but by the time we get there, that sun will have been well past finish setting. So this is definitely the end for our day. We are just far enough ahead on my time estimate now that I think we can actually make it all the way to Texas tonight. So I have every expectation that
wake up and we start the day tomorrow, we will begin taking on the Texas portion of our adventure. It was a great week spent in the state of Mississippi. We started in the northwest corner of the state and steadily zigzagged our way, heading south all the way until we hit the Gulf Coast. Once we got to the Gulf, we turned around and came up north for the final portion of our adventure today. We've gotten to see a lot of Mississippi history, particularly on the Blues Trail, but in general, we got to learn a lot about the state, and we got to enjoy the state in all its glory. Thank you guys for joining us. Like this video, subscribe to stay tuned for daily updates, and we'll see you out on the trails.